Welcome back, everybody. Good evening. We are here with the seventh breakdown of the Ahsoka show. Of course, we've only got one more as the finale comes out. By the time you're seeing this, the finale will be out tonight. So it's highly anticipated. I mean, we've been talking about Ahsoka and all this Star Wars stuff for so long. I believe this is the last show of the year, if I'm not wrong. I think Skeleton Crew is early next year, right?
I think you're
Or
right.
am I wrong? And it's like December. But I think it's, as far as I know, Skeleton Crew is next year, and that'll kick off 2024. So yeah, this is the last bit of Star Wars that we've really got for you. After this ends, we'll have, me and Jared will do our breakdown of the whole series, and then after that, we'll have one more big special for you. That we'll see if I split them into two. It's something that I got to think about, and me and you will talk about, Jared, whether we want to do our 2024 preview and 2023 recap as one thing, and then have the special separate, or if we want to combine those two and make it a part of the special. That'll be something that me and you discuss.
Let us know in the comments if you have a preference.
Exactly. Yeah. Let us know in the comments if there's a preference. Nonetheless, we've got a healthy amount of content for the rest of the year. Obviously, it won't be as frequent as we're doing right now, but by the time we know it, it'll be time to do this again for Skeleton Crew and Bad Batch season 4, the last season of Bad Batch, and/or
Season
season
3,
2. Maybe season 3, and/or season 2, and all this stuff. Acolyte, like we got a good amount of stuff coming next year. So before you know it, we'll be back. And without further ado, of course, Jared, resident Star Wars expert, always here to do these videos with us. And let's just get straight into it, because I know we both have some strong opinions about the episode. Shouldn't be too lengthy of one today for you guys, because not much happened, and that was basically our big gripe with this episode, is that not much happened. And I'm just gonna use that to get us started here, because it sums up how both of us are feeling pretty well, right? I know I'm
absolutely.
happy that with what happened, and it's okay. And if this was in any other episode slot, episode 2, 3, 4, whatever, I think we both feel so much differently. But it's because of how late in the season we are and how few episodes we get. Jared, just give us your general thoughts, because I know we're kind of in the same boat here, but I want to hear specifically what you had to say about your general thoughts about episode 7.
I think this episode was an enormous ramp down from what we had seen last week. The problem is we were going from an extremely strong episode where a lot got done, a lot of things were going on. Finding Ezra, Thrawn putting everything into play, Ahsoka's well on her way, to go break it all up. And then we also have, some interesting discussions with Shin and Balin.
We get some
So,
fun cameos and references in the beginning, at least. We do have that
yeah.
to say.
Um, and this time around, it went from, rising to feels like it's going down again. We got some mediocre action in this episode. We'll talk about that later. But overall, just going from you know, from the pacing that we had last episode to this episode, it just doesn't feel as strong, especially leading into the finale. That's my main problem with it, is that,
Yeah, exactly. I think that's everyone's main problem with it.
yeah. And we did some research before we started filming here, and we found out that there was going to be 42 minutes and 43 seconds of content next episode, excluding credits, which,
Nothing's confirmed, of course, but it is the it seems likely.
yeah, I might be confirmed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it
Okay.
said it was confirmed on the website,
Okay. Okay.
but hopefully it was just
That's tough.
not true. But um, so we really don't have. I mean, we were speculating earlier in the season that it was going to kind of be like a two-part finale where a lot of stuff, happened in some two pretty good-sized episodes, maybe one 40-minute one and an hour-long episode, combined of finale content. But it feels like after this episode, everything's ramping down. We went from a little bit of conflict with Ahsoka and Baylan to then Ahsoka escaping to go, break up the fight with Shin, Ezra, and of course, I don't know, Sabine. Kind of sums up my thoughts on her character this season
Exactly. I
too.
mean, yeah, it's been a forgettable
Yeah,
series.
but we went from all that, which again I didn't feel was that strongly executed, to everyone escaping, nothing happened. I mean, really the only change from start to finish of the episode is that now Ahsoka is with the group and
And
they're back together.
that is important to the finish of the story, I feel, because I think we will see at least a little bit of interesting stuff in this week's episode. But it's like, I needed a little bit more, right? I didn't just need this whole entire episode to be about adding Ahsoka to the mix of people already on Perdia. We could have used that could have been done in 10 minutes. So
Absolutely.
I mean, it's great that we're all here and we're all set up, but it's like it would be nice to have this setup done in episode 6, and then now we have 2 episodes with everyone on the planet to work with, but we don't. We have one 42-minute episode left with a whole lot of stuff to get answered, and I get it. Like, I don't even think season 2 has been confirmed, but people are talking about it. They're like, well, this is setting up for season 2. This is setting up for season 2. We don't know. Like, with all the constant movements these projects go through, that can't just be my excuse that I cope with, is that they're setting up for season 2, and that's why we're not getting a lot of answers right now. We don't know when that's happening, right? Like, you can't set something up for 3-4 years from now, with whatever comes out. They don't even know it's confirmed, so you can't give us a lot of these important questions to the plot that you're gonna and then not answer them. We know other shows are gonna come before season 2 of this, right? Like, I'm sure we'll see whether it's a movie or season 4 of Mandalorian. We'll see one of those two things come to fruition before we see a season 2 of Ahsoka, and we're gonna see all these other Mandoverse things go down, Skeleton Crew, all that stuff. So for all that to happen with no clear answers from this season would be really disappointing.
I would agree. I feel like as a season, it hasn't necessarily done a good job of standing on its own. You know, if they do want to make it set up for another season, why can't this season also be good? I don't
Right. Yeah,
understand
you
that.
don't need a good season 2 because of a mid season 1, right? Like, we've seen
Absolutely.
epic finales from other shows and it's gone over perfectly fine. Everyone will always praise the Mandalorian season 2 finale as being probably the best finale we've seen. We can always argue, and maybe I'm leaving stuff out, but the best finale we've seen from a Disney Star Wars show, right? Is there anything that comes super close to that? I mean, season 2 of Mandalorian was just such an incredible finale.
Season
Your show's
2,
okay.
season 1 even was fairly well done.
Right, yeah.
If
I
we
mean,
want to rope in Clone Wars with
Clone
Disney,
Wars had some great stuff.
yeah,
Even the Rebels
amazing.
finale with Ezra and Thrawn, all of this stuff.
I'd even say that I think I'm a huge Bad Batch apologist,
Hmm.
and I think seasons
Well,
one
there's
and
no reason
two
to be an
ended
apologist. We
wonderfully.
all acknowledge it's a pretty good show.
I've seen some
I mean,
opinions,
there's some, just because some people don't like how like some of the characters are handled. It's whatever. I mean,
sure,
that's nitty gritty, but overall, I think everyone can agree that it's at least at the bare minimum a good quality show.
certainly. So we're getting these fantastic finales, with fair build-up too. I mean, I do have criticisms of The Mandalorian season two, but they definitely set it up extremely well with, the Dark Troopers being introduced, then Grogu getting kidnapped, and then breaking into that really cool episode, with Bill Burr's character coming back
Yeah.
for the huge, incident at the little tropical planet they had going
Hmm.
on there. You had all this great stuff that led into a nice finale. Here, we have good ideas that are leading into a nice finale, like everything with Balin. I mean, we saw
We have
Anakin, which is
amazing ideas.
amazing.
This was set up to
Yeah,
be such an amazing, and maybe we're wrong, maybe we're overreacting and just pre-panicking. Maybe it will be a great finale, and all of our stuff will get answered in a timely fashion, or at least enough of it will get answered that we're like, okay, this was answered, and then this is for season 2, and I guess it makes sense. There is still the opportunity for this to happen. I just think the momentum was killed after last episode, and now we're left in a state of nervousness again, and it's relapsing for us Star Wars fans, like where we've been at the past, what, since COVID, really? I mean,
it's
just
been a
if
while.
right, like it just feels like we've been all this time where we're in this constant state of nervousness, almost, and we're bracing for the worst and we're bracing for mid.
Yeah. I mean, I think at this point, mid is almost the standard. I
It
feel like
is.
that word gets
It's so
overused a
sad,
little
and
bit,
and
but
mid has been the standard, and every time
yeah,
we get our hopes up, and every time we get let down, because the
I agree.
marketing and the concepts are always so great, and then the execution is just so lacking. I mean,
And
it's sad.
this is something that we were bringing up in our initial talks of the first few episodes, is that we were
Yep.
hoping that they would use this runtime to not make it feel like a dredge to get through. And they were doing a pretty good job.
You're doing a great
Episodes were
job, in
just
my
getting
opinion.
higher and higher, and then this one kind of just killed it. I feel like we could have just cut out a lot of the lame stuff, get Ahsoka with the crew, and then have some bombastic stuff. Maybe setting up the finale, as long as the finale's fine, we don't care.
Hmm.
But I just feel like they wasted too much of that time on something that could have been accomplished in considerably less, time than what they actually used.
Yeah, totally, and it's just like I struggle to find the right way to put it, really, because it's like I can put up with all the lame stuff. I can almost even put up with the mid and the dredging and then a certain point of the filler, but serve a purpose, right? Like advance the plot in some way. And when I get mad at episodes like this and what we just saw, and all the main issue is that it didn't advance the plot. Like I got no answers. The questions even grew more. If anything,
Well,
you
we want big questions for a finale.
right. That's the thing, and it's like we have these big questions, and some of them got thrown out instead of answered. Right, like they got eliminated by process of elimination, but nothing got answered. So it's like I still have all these questions. I guess I have less questions now in a certain sense about what's gonna happen, but still no idea. And I don't know. It's like I can put up with the mid, I can put up with the filler, but just advance the plot. And it felt like it took so much time to advance so little of the plot, and that's what's the most frustrating part at the end of the day.
It was a disappointment. How did you feel about the action in this episode? Because I have some strong opinions on that,
Right.
so I'd like to hear
Yeah, and,
from
and
you.
that's another thing, right? The action has been scrutinized heavily, and it's like I don't mind it, right? Like the whole goal of sending the two out was for them to track down Ezra and Sabine, right, and kill them because they're two 1.5 force sensitive people, 2.5 when Ahsoka gets there. So right, like they should be killed. Um, you know, people say like, oh, they found him so quickly, but it took Thrawn like 10 years and he couldn't find Ezra. Like, of course, those 10 years weren't on screen, so when it's on screen, we have to kind of live with stuff happening a little quicker than realistically it would. So I have no issue with that they found him quick, but it's just it was fine. It was a necessary action that had to happen just because the two were collide. They're on a collision course. I thought it could have been executed better. I will say, frankly, I did like Ezra not using his lightsaber. I was mixed at first. I was like, damn, I want to see him wield the saber. But like, it was a cool concept to explore, right? And me and you talked about it last week, like what we think Ezra will be, and that part was cool. I mean, it not only did it open up theories, but it also developed his character, and I like things like that because it pushes, right? Like it creates progress, right? So now we have more of his character development, and we have cool theories to play around with. It was all good, Ezra was all good. I like the portrayal more and more each time I see it. So I'm happy with that overall. I mean, the action was okay, right? Like Sabine shooting the stormtroopers, that was cool. It's nice to see stormtroopers back in action. It's a little nostalgic, I guess. In the live action, we don't really see that much anymore. But I mean, right? It's just the choreography of some of the lightsaber stuff. Balin and Ahsoka was cool. There were some good moments. It was short lived, but it was good. I think it's crazy because we're seeing more and more of how powerful Balin is, right? Like Ahsoka did all that training, reunited with her master, and he still technically won. Had the hand on her fist and just said, you can't beat me. And I think she accepted it, right? Like that's why she ran. So that was cool to see too. Overall, the action was a bit decent. Would have been nice to see a little better lightsaber choreography, mostly on the Shin and Ahsoka, or I mean Shin and Sabine and Ezra. And I guess maybe it would have been cool to see Ezra wield the saber, but it's nice to see he's progressed as a character and is now more in touch with the Force. But what do you think about it? Because I know you had strong opinions.
So, just getting the Ezra stuff out of the way, I think he's handled fantastically. I had no problems with him not
Yeah,
wielding a
he's had a
lightsaber. I thought it was a
fantastic
good
live action
decision.
debut overall, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
And I feel like, fellas, I'm not all the way through Rebels, but from what I've seen so far, his punchy dialogue, it just feels like that's how Ezra would say it.
Yeah,
If you took him right
100%.
out of the animated and into live action, this is him. And that's something that I really appreciate. I feel like the actor's doing a fantastic job. I feel like his writing is pretty solid too. That's something I
Agreed.
will praise this episode, was I really liked what they did with Ezra, and I was overall extremely happy with it. But my problems comes from the lightsaber choreography. Yeah, we've gotten a lot of fights. So, Sam, well, let me do it, and everyone in the audience too.
Yeah,
I want you guys to do an exercise with me.
yeah.
Um, Tell me a lightsaber fight that you've Googled before from in any era of Star Wars.
A lightsaber fight that I've Googled. That's a good one.
Yep,
I
that
mean,
you've just
obviously,
wanted to watch on its own.
yeah. Probably we're all gonna say Anakin versus Obi-Wan, and
Anakin versus Obi-Wan. For
I'll
me,
say the first Count Dooku matchup on Geonosis. I'll say I've Googled that one. That's live action though. I won't get into animated stuff because I've Googled a few animated ones. I'll admit.
for
Um,
me, it's Darth Maul versus Ahsoka, and Darth Maul versus
in Mandalore.
Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn. Yeah, on
Yeah. Okay.
Mandalore.
Yeah, those are valid. Those are definitely valid. I
So
yeah, those are valid.
those scenes, they're striking. They feel amazing. And when I think about those, they don't match anything I see in Ahsoka. I can't think of any fight in Ahsoka that I would just think I really want to look at that fight and that fight alone right now. I would
Yeah,
never Google
I
a
certainly
single
wouldn't
fight
Google
from
any, but
Ahsoka.
I could see myself rewatching the first Ahsoka and Baylan matchup. I'll be completely honest. I would say that's something I could maybe go back and rewatch.
My favorite, yeah, so far, if I had to pick a favorite, it would be the one in that cool map dome thing. That
I
was
thought that was
pretty
good.
impressive.
I thought that was actually executed pretty well.
I like that one. But man,
And Sabine versus Shin, the first one where they're in like the woods and Sabine gets stabbed. I thought that was good too. Right, so it's the same problem that I keep having is they lift our expectations and then drop them. I
I
thought
still
both of
feel
those.
like that one wasn't that good.
I mean, maybe I get. I don't know. I thought it was decent at least.
But
But
yeah,
like,
I'm not really digging the choreography
yeah, me
for
neither.
these
I hate that
fights.
they just lift the expectations over and over and do
Yeah,
it every time.
and we know they can give us good stuff because, I mean, Darth Maul versus Ahsoka was Disney Star Wars, Dave Filoni. You know, we know that they can do this, and it's not
You
like
haven't
don't
seen
try
some of the
and
Rebels fights yet, but there's even good Rebels fights that I've gone
sure.
back and I've watched those single 2 episodes over and over to see the fights in that.
I've
And we'll
actually,
get to them eventually, and it'll be fun to talk about it when you're done. But like, there are good fights in there too.
I've watched Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul a lot. Just that small, like just a
Oh,
30-second
you
clip.
jumped ahead.
Well, I knew it happened. I just wanted
Yeah,
to
I mean,
see
I'm
it.
sure the clips are everywhere. It's a
Yeah.
popular scene.
So stuff like that's great. And, we're getting, I don't want to say an overabundance, that's not fair. We're
Hmm.
getting a good amount, a fair amount of lightsaber fights.
Oh, I
And
don't think it's overabundance at all. I'll eat those lightsaber fights up all
yeah,
day long.
I'm digging it. But I feel like the action doesn't really advance anything other than the collision course thing that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
I think that's a fair point. They kind of had to come in contact at some point. It just wasn't that entertaining to watch to me.
yeah, exactly. That's the main gripe with it.
Yeah. I don't feel like the action is like snappy enough. I just feel like it's just kind of dull saber clashing, and I'm
Hmm.
not really digging it.
Yeah, I so agree. And we'll get in. We'll do a quick recap before we get into our predictions and our theories. Basically, we start out before the New Republic, and we see yet again just how like dumb these guys are and just oblivious, and they're arguing back and forth with Hera, and it takes an awesome cameo by C-3PO that I know every real Star Wars fan was happy to see him back on screen. I
Even me,
know.
the cameo hater, was digging it.
None of us when we did our like our preseason one predictions, none of us would have expected something like C-3PO to come up. Maybe who knows? Maybe we did. I'd go back and rewatch it. So guys, go back and rewatch the video. Let us know if someone said C-3PO, but it was great. I was happy. He saves the day, of course, and a mention of Leia is awesome. Even if she's not on the screen, hearing the name. It just shows where she's at stature-wise right now in the New Republic, and just how she's the only one who's kind of got a head on her. So I mean, I loved seeing that. C-3PO saves the day, of course, and it just shows. I think Mon Mothma is gonna get removed at some point. I saw people saying that, like, because I don't think she's the Chancellor in the next 20 years by the time the First Order comes around. So I think she's gonna get replaced by someone who's even more oblivious to Thrawn and the First Order threat, and um, and that'll lead to their demise. But of course, right back on track, we see how oblivious they are. They argue back and forth. C-3PO saves the day, and Hera keeps her job title and all that. And then we cut to Ahsoka, and she is exiting hyperspace. She exits the Purgle, but of course they go into a massive planetary field of mines, like space mines, right away because Thrawn knows that she's coming. Because the Great Mothers let him know. They dodge through the fields and they're getting hunted down by all these ships. They hide in an asteroid field, which is super nostalgic for us Star Wars fans. How many times have we seen the old asteroid field trick? Whether it was Obi-Wan and Attack of the Clones and Empire Strikes Back and
But how many
all.
times do they fall for it?
Yeah, exactly. Every time. So it's always great to see a little reference like that. But she hides in there. The Great Mothers put their magic to work again and pinpoint her, and Thrawn lights her up again. And he doesn't even want to like kill her right away. He wants to draw her out. And that's one of the things I also really liked about this episode was that we get to see Thrawn's mastermind come into play, right? And he's such a cool villain, and a lot of people like it. He's not a force wielder. He's not a lightsaber guy. He's not some physical specimen. He's a military like super genius, and that's what makes him such a great villain. And we saw it on display here. We saw him on full display. But anyways, she gets out. She lands to the planet. Ezra and Sabine are on the move. They get hunted down by Baylan and Shin and the bandits, the Wanderers, the Nomads, and the Stormtroopers, and they get into a big fight. And Ezra is doing his thing with the Force. Sabine's doing all right with Ezra's saber. Um, and then Ahsoka and Baylan go at it a little bit, and Ahsoka they draw. We'll call it a stalemate. Ahsoka runs away. Baylan goes the other way, so he's continuing to pursue whatever's calling to him. That'll be super interesting. Hopefully, we get an answer. Um, and then Ahsoka saves the day. Crab people for the win. Everyone retreats. Shin retreats. And then we're kind of left. I mean, of course I'm leaving out stuff, but that's just a generalized recap, and then that brings us here. So predictions, theories. Jared, what do you got, man? What's your predictions for the final episode?
Well, I feel like a lot of the theories we discussed last week are kind of out the door. Um, I feel like at this point they just wouldn't feel earned. They would just feel shoved in at the end,
Yeah,
like, hey, look at this, look at this. So I don't think they're gonna do any of that. I don't feel like, there was enough setup to do the Abeloth, thing. If they do it, do it well.
it's. I would certainly say it's leaning towards the I keep what's the thing with the Z, the Zepho. It's leaning
Oh,
towards
that's right.
Kujet and the Zepho, and I wouldn't be mad at that. I feel like at this point Abeloth might be cooler, but this is certainly set up better cinematic wise, and it's more down to down to earth, so to speak, with what we've been getting. Like I feel like it fits in better with the Star Wars universe that we're in right now. Abeloth feels like such an extreme, but this feels relatively realistic, so to say. I don't know a better way to put it. So I would say it certainly seems like we're heading in the Zepho direction.
Alternatively, for a more, tame, casual theory, maybe they could be doing they could be doing Mortis. That's completely
Which is
possible.
cool too. Like, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't mind any. Those
Absolutely,
are
that'd be
all
something great.
perfectly fine solutions in their own way.
What do you think they're going to be doing with Ezra in the next episode?
That's where I'm in confusion. I want to see him wield the saber. I really do. People still got their theories that this isn't Ezra and this is like a Night Sisters like creation. And I see one of the main points is like he didn't pick up his saber because he wouldn't be able to hold like a real object. So that's why he opted for the Force. I guess that's a theory that's in play, even though I don't think so. But there's certainly like points that may assist that theory. I just don't know. I think he's gonna help him the way he was doing it last um episode with like force pushes and everything. And I hope he's not sacrificed right after making his debut. That would
Yeah, that'd
suck.
be a bummer.
But I'm confused. I really don't know. He's one of the most confusing points for me going into tomorrow's episode or tonight's
Yeah,
episode.
because I don't know. I don't know if there's anyone for him to fight with a saber. Because Sabine's probably gonna have a moment where she beats Shin. That seems like where she's going as a character. And
Right, yeah, and Ahsoka's not even gonna fight. Ahsoka's gonna be going straight for Thrawn. So it's like, is Ezra gonna be
yeah,
dealing with like the grandmothers? Like, I don't
and
know.
then what is Balin coming back? Is
It doesn't
Ahsoka
look
gonna?
like
Is
it.
that
It
gonna be
certainly
the
doesn't look
final?
like that way.
We'll see. I mean, yeah, we'll definitely see him in some regard.
Yeah, yeah,
They're
yeah.
gonna.
And I guess not for all the wrong reasons. He's a bit of an interesting piece here because what are we gonna do, right? Obviously, there's a season 2. I don't think it's been filmed. Of course, I don't even think it's been written. But it's like we don't have him. So it's like, are they gonna change the plot to where his character gets a peaceful write off early? Are we gonna recast? So it's like it's interesting because like if he has this interesting story to tell, do they maybe rework it to where we get a final answer to his question now? And that's why we don't have to see him in a season 2? Is it like I hope we don't get left on a cliffhanger and then because of the tragic events never hear anything about it and it's just left as like a what if. That would suck. I think with a character like him, if we're not gonna get our final, because maybe it was just his destiny to be a one season character and we never hear from him again. If his destiny goes past this season and they don't like already have it filmed, and I don't know, a recast to me feels like the option. And I know some people might not like it, but it just feels like in all seriousness, the right way to go would be a recast to fulfill this character's arc, and to finish off the plot, really. In a and not in a insensitive way.
That seems like a distinct possibility, but I feel like what they're building up to is a final thing with him. It's going to be definitive and
I
it'll
think so
bring it
too.
to
That
an
was my
end.
prediction coming in, but it just seems the way things are trending and the way people talk, it just I heard a lot of talk about wanting a recast, and wanting a recast would mean his arc goes past the season. So
Well, guess we'll find out.
yeah. Well, are there any other predictions you have? for what we're gonna see here tomorrow.
That about does it. I mean, maybe we get a Zeb cameo. How cute would that be?
That'd be
You know?
awesome, right? Like, do you think we're gonna go back to the main galaxy, or do you think it's like we're gonna have a big fight on Paradia? Thrawn's gonna take off. Our heroes are either gonna be with him when they go back, or they're gonna be on the planet, and then we're just gonna leave it there.
So this could be the new area for the Mandoverse. Like I think
Right,
someone was
because of
speculating.
course, right, you have to play with the fact that they're not in these sequels.
Yeah. So we'll have to see. I mean, to be fair, when it comes to huge galactic conflicts like the First Order, and the Resistance and everything, like Mando could be there running around. Maybe he's just not getting anything
But
done,
is Ahsoka and Grogu and Ezra and four force wielding
Sure.
people? They're
Yeah.
not run. They're not there helping, helping Ray.
Yeah.
Like like Ray, like Ray and Sabine is like a genuine face off, right? Like that's where we're at with Ray. Like anyone else is beating her. Maybe Grogu beats her by the time we see him next. So it's like you're gonna tell me that these people aren't just like conveniently aren't helping the New Republic or the Resistance or whatever.
Sure. But I'll tell you what, I mean, whether this season ends well or not, it's obviously going to crescendo in something involving the First Order, so we'll just have to kind
Agreed.
of wait
Yeah.
and see where that leads.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, I mean, that's about it for me. Like, there's interesting theories I want to see. Like, I want to see what they do with the Zepho. Is it Abeloth? What does Balin do? How is Thrawn? Like, there's a lot of stuff I want to see. No, like crazy theories though. I mean, we kind of talked about it last episode. We've seen some of them get eliminated. I've got nothing left to say, Jared. Is there anything else you want to add? Any last predictions, theories, anything you want to say?
That about does it for me. Hoping for a strong finale, but I mean, we'll see what we get, you
Yeah,
know.
me too. So, I mean, with that being said, then people remember subscribe, comment what you want to see more of, turn those notifications on, share and repost, do all that good stuff to help us grow because we're growing. We're growing at a really solid pace, and I'm so thankful for all the support we've been getting.
Josh.
Jerry, me and you, I mean, after this, I guess looking forward, we'll probably have our week 8 breakdown for that specific episode, and then we'll have our overall recap for the season 1 as a whole. And then I guess that's our outlook, right? We've got those two. And then me and you, obviously, as I said before, we'll discuss what we want to do if we want to split up the yearly recap and the special. But guys, keep a lookout for that special. It should be coming to you sometime late this month, early next month. And I'm so excited. I think it's going to be one of the best pieces of content that we've ever had on this channel. I'm really looking forward to it.
Should be a fun episode. I mean, I'm looking forward to getting in the studio with you guys and making it. It looks like it'll be a blast.
Yeah, that should be really fun. All right, until next time, everyone, we'll have a couple more videos this week, and I will see you next time with this Ahsoka recap for the episode 8.